Seraphim17 once again. This is my Rise of the Tomb Raider Survivor Difficulty video walkthrough. This is the Siberian wilderness, and as you can see, Lara is balls deep, or clam deep maybe, I don't know. She's moving through some pretty deep snow, and we're moving towards a campfire here, and it's going to introduce one of the more interesting dynamics of this new game, which is very similar to the ones in the last one, but they've expanded on it, and they've made it bigger, and they've increased its scale. So here is the fire. The fire mechanic in this game is simple. If you have 3 wood, you can light the fire, and the fire will heal you and act as a hub for you to do upgrades, to level up, and to fast travel. It's kind of hilarious that in this game, the campfires themselves can hurt you, whereas in a game like Dark Souls, which is notorious for its difficulty, you will never be injured by a bonfire. You will be injured by everything else. The fucking air in Dark Souls kills you, but the bonfire never will, because it's a sign of salvation. It's this symbol of safety. Whereas on this game, if you're too eager to get to a campfire, you will stand on it and take damage. Which is hilarious. But there it is. So once you approach this carcass, you can skin it and get some items. Incredibly important mechanic this, because every single upgrade on the game for your weapons, for your pouches, sorry, for your ammunition pouches and your pockets to get bigger amounts of capacity, all of them pretty much need animal ingredients. So hunting is going to help you, and the more you do, the better you will be when it comes to your character. But my recommendations is do not do what I'm about to show you, because it didn't turn out to go as well as I had hoped. So I have an unupgraded bow on an unupgraded Lara, which means it's not very powerful. So hunting is actually a pain in the ass at this point, because I can't hold my bow for very long, I don't do much damage when I do fire it, and hunting the animals is tricky at best times. So another thing as well, right now you can probably hear Laura is giving a massive soliloquy when I sat at this bonfire, and it is the dumbest thing in this game. It's one of my biggest gripes with it. When I write my review, I'm going to shit on it because I think it's terrible. This game has a story. It spends a lot of it telling it you through the audio journals and the things you pick up. I have no problem with that. If that's how you want to tell your story, you do that. I don't think it's the best way of doing it, but it's the way they chose to do it. However, in this game, when cutscenes happen, it gives you a little bit more story, but it's a little bit more subtle. It's the kind of stuff that's inferred and the kind of stuff that you learn over time, which is a lot of stories in games because they don't focus enough on it. But then this game doesn't trust that the stuff you're picking up that's hinting towards the identity of the prophet and giving him backstory so that when he's revealed later on it gives it a bigger impact. And the cutscenes just aren't giving you enough, so instead every time you hit a campfire, she talks. She talks, she talks, and she talks. And I know it's pretty ironic coming from a guy who's going to talk for the next 23 minutes solid, but it's just unbelievable. She yabs, and she yabs, and she yabs. And it's this massive exposition dump that is so forced and so bad that I would leave the campfires to interrupt it, because I got so annoyed at it. And it's bad. It's just bad storytelling. It is essentially, instead of giving us the information that she's dumping on us at the campfires, that they've chose to just expo dump you, and it doesn't make sense. They could have worked that information in to the momentum of the game, to the cutscenes that you were going to see, to the encounters that you were going to do, to the things you were picking up, to the new areas you were exploring. They could have worked it in via enemy walkie-talkies, all kinds of ways to do this. But instead, it's just a million facts from Lara that fill in the gaps, and all it does is it highlights how weak the initial story is, that they felt that they had to go in and just patch up all these areas to give it this illusion of a whole, when really it's like fucking Swiss cheese. It's just holy. And it's weird, guys. And you might not have noticed, but I hope you do. Just go up to one of those campfires and just listen. She just goes, and she goes, and she goes, and she goes, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? It's bad storytelling, and it's rife in this game. It's really unfortunate too, but it's just what they chose to do. Anyhow, gameplay-wise, walkthrough-wise, what are we doing? So, I'm going to loot this entire area. This is a hub area, akin to something from a Metroid or a Castlevania, where you can progress it in any way you want and go a few different directions, and then of course there is the path where you're supposed to go, which I'm following at the moment, to meet up with the bear. What I'm going to be doing here, guys, is I'm going to be looting some of the places to build some quick experience early on, and I'm going to be trying to hunt as many animals as I can, because I want to upgrade my ability to carry arrows, and to do this we're going to have to pick up some pelts. But at first we're going to be attacked by a bear. So press B to dodge him in the cutscene or he'll instantly kill you, and then you're going to have to jump over this log here to jump over that big verge of snow or he'll instantly kill you. And then once you get in here you're safe. So mash Y to hit him with your axe, and then we're going to be safe from the bear. But get this folks, the bear is the strongest enemy in this game, by far. Out of everything you're going to fight, including the final boss, including like the big enemies, shield guys, armoured guys, this bear is the strongest dude you will fight. So if you can get good at killing bears comfortably and confidently, you will have no issue with anything in this game. Fact. I'm telling you guys, bears are to be feared until you know how to beat them. And how do you beat them? Use whatever's the most strongest tool you have to hit them a lot, or do the dodge counter, which on the bears can be really tricky to time, and I haven't been able to get the timings down for every dodge counter, so you're not going to see me doing it too much, even though it's amazingly effective and I do recommend it. As we're going to be introduced to another vista here, and some things to pick up. But those open areas are great, because they enable you to refill on everything you're doing. Right there is the game showing me how to heal. You're never going to see me do that, guys, because I intentionally don't, which is something I haven't really discussed. On this full walkthrough, I am not going to be upgrading my health. I'm not going to be upgrading any of the abilities to heal quicker or to take more damage. I am going to be base Lara for the entire game, as we pick up these death caps, which are the most overpowered item in the game. Pick up all the mushrooms, because they're going to save your ass. They're amazing. I cannot tell you how much I would like to consummate with the mushrooms. But I will not be healing, traditionally. However, there are other ways to heal. One of the ways to heal is to move out of the combat zone and to go back to a neutral zone. When this happens, it will heal you. But it will only heal you out of the black and white mode, which is the one-shot screen. It will heal you back to being covered in bukkake of blood. And the problem with that is the blood will stay on your screen until you heal. Never ever leaves. And when I was first playing this game on Survivor, I thought the game was broken. I thought it was glitching out on me. Because it never goes away unless you heal. And of course at that point I was new to the game and I didn't know you could heal. My experience from playing far too many video games is when there is blood on my screen, if I give it a little time, it will go away. It never goes away on this game, and it's annoying as hell. It is the most annoying thing in the world. I can't even begin to describe to you how much it annoys me. However, I've intentionally done this kind of walkthrough so that it's going to appear on the screen every so often, and it's going to make the video a little bit less interesting to watch because it's harder to see, and you'll understand what I mean when I say it's annoying. But if you hit a bonfire, or if you hit a campfire, sorry, it will heal you. It will get rid of that bukkake fest. Additionally, this is a weird one, if you skin an animal, it will heal you too. Don't know why it does that. Really don't make sense to me. But if you have the blood on your screen, which means that you've taken a bit of damage and you've not healed, skin an animal, it'll get rid of it. And that is your only way to heal on this particular run that I'm making. You campfire it up, you heal, you skin an animal, oh, that's pretty much it. You know, the game just does its thing. However, most of this game can be done relatively easily without taking too much damage. A lot of the times I'm going to take damage is going to be in situations where the AI proves it's on its hardest difficulty, which doesn't really make too much of a difference in my mind compared to games I've played. But then again, I can't tell you what this game is like on normal because I didn't play normal. I've played this game twice, both times on Survivor. Both times I felt the difficulty was incredibly simple. And we're going to discuss more of that once I've got off this particular topic. But this is me picking up a lot of stuff here, trying to put some arrows into the deers and things, but my arrows are really weak, so if I go for a heart shot, it doesn't do much damage, doesn't instantly kill them like it can do later on. If I go for a headshot, they'll run away as well. All kinds of crazy stuff. But the goal here that I'm doing, you don't have to do this, guys. Trying to get some pelts so I can upgrade my arrow capacity, and I'm going to try and get all my storage equipment up, so I want to pick up as many natural resources as I can, and as many of the cogs and things that are just going to aid me later on. You'll notice I keep coming to this cave because I want to pick up more of these death caps. This is actually the mission, to find these death caps so that we can go and kill the bear. I cannot begin to tell you how amazing these poison arrows are, folks. I really can't. For the full duration of your playthrough, you want to make sure you always have a max amount of those mushrooms, and you always have a max amount of arrows. If you don't, warp back using the campfire system to find more of them. That is how important they are. If you're struggling in any part of this game, use poison arrows. If you're struggling at any particular boss or any particular sequence, poison arrows. It is literally the winning strategy, and I'm going to show you some filthy strategies that are going to completely mitigate some of the tougher areas of this game, because they're that powerful, and I love them. I love having the first thing you get be the best thing in the game, if you know how to use it. Because there are people who will play this game and will never use those poison arrows, because I never use the napalm arrows, and I'll know there'll be people that love the napalm arrows and never use the poison ones or something like that, and you are missing out on serious damage. Like, this is the quickest way to kill a bear, and the bear's the strongest thing in the game. So now that you have that information, really respect them and use them all you want, because they're amazing. But we're going to be doing some more exploration here. So now that we've got a moment, let's talk about what the game thinks Survivor difficulty is. So, judging by the description that I've left in at the beginning of the walkthrough, and I'm going to show you one section later on where I pause it to double check the difficulty, because I did what I believed at the time to be one of the hardest firefights in the entire game without taking a single hit. Didn't take any damage, and I was really stunned. I was like, have I changed the difficulty somehow here? So I go to the menu, and it's locked. You cannot change difficulty once you start. So, additionally, for the people who do like to doubt difficulty, later on this walkthrough, it's going to be very difficult to do that because my life never regenerates. Like, I never get my life back. There's going to be enemies that won't be there on earlier difficulties, so there's a lot of factors here that reinforces that this is, as it says, on Survivor mode. Even though, why would I lie? I've never understood the people who doubt difficulty on the internet, because to me, making a video that's not on a harder difficulty and advertising it as if it is absolutely fundamentally pointless. I'm not putting these videos up to make people think I'm amazing. You know, I'm not putting them up to inflate my ego and say I'm better than you at X, you know. I'm putting them up to help, to try and give people the lessons that I learnt when I was playing the game, and hopefully help people avoid my pitfalls so that you don't have to struggle. Even though in a game such as this, I didn't struggle. And we're going to talk about that in the coming episodes. So, lying is something that, you know, once you start a lie, it gets so twisted that that's all it is at the end. You'll always be remembered for the lie, because that's all you have at that point. And how can they ever tell what you're saying is true if everything is built on this lie? So the notion that somebody would lie about a difficulty, and myself would lie about a difficulty, is just absolutely preposterous, because it's a waste of time. It would be much more difficult to fake these videos than it would be to make them. Like, it really would, because I'd have to do, like, different things, additional things, subvertive things to make you believe it, and I definitely could do that. But as I've said, why would I do it the hard way when it's just easier to beat the game on what I'm saying I'm playing it on? I never understand YouTube for that, but it exists, and no doubt this video will get it too. But what does Survivor mode mean to the game, as it's explained? So, auto-aim is completely removed. I don't know if this is 100% true, because I have moments where the aim definitely feels like I'm being assisted. That might just be the stiffness of the sensitivity, though, when I'm fighting the analogs, or the cover system nagging at my shoulder like an unwanted child. I don't know, but there's definitely something there that pulls on my aim at times, even though the game says it's completely taken away. Automatic healing's completely gone, which, that's just the way the game is. For me, I've never seen it any other way. Enemies have more HP and do more damage. Once again, this is one of those that the only enemy that I've noticed that takes a beating is the wolves, the bears, and a particular enemy later on called a Deathless. They're the only enemies in the game that I can think of that take a pounding, and depending on what weapons you're using will depend on how big of a pounding they take. Everybody else is headshot fodder in the best possible way. I absolutely adore it. So, they do more damage to you. When you get hit, it's pretty much a 3 to 4 hit ratio to death in this game, depending on what the gun is. If it's like an automatic gun, you can take a little bit more. If it's a stronger gun, you can take less. So your shotguns, your snipers, your rifles, things like that, they will put you down pretty quick. Everything else, not so much. Grenades will generally put you to death screen, and then one more hit will finish you, and things like that. As I put a little bit of an edit there, and we're going to be taking out our first real enemies of the game, introducing some of the stealth mechanics, some of the new features, like climbing trees and going in these bushes that enable Laura to crouch, which is a stealth mode that she only does when enemies are present. It's another context-sensitive moment, which I would prefer a crouch button, personally, but that's just because I'm old-fashioned and I like to control my character rather than have my character control me. So the enemies here do have a set pattern, but depending on where you are in that pattern will depend on where they are. So you've got to be careful. Additionally, I'm going to get everybody down here except for one dude, because I didn't realise there was one dude left, and it puts me in a bit of a spot. But you can recover, because the enemies don't have the best awareness, and the ways to tell if you're being spotted is they will get this inverted triangle that's yellow above their head when they can kind of see something, and then when they can definitely see something, they get an inverted red triangle, and at that point, it's Metal Gear Solid 1. Everybody knows where you are, everybody's going to be coming to you, and to the strength of the artificial intelligence in this game, they're incredibly good at flanking. So you want to definitely put yourself in a spot where you know they can't get behind you, or some kind of power position where you can get away, because they will flank you all the time. It's one of the greatest strengths they have. But hopefully we'll not see too much of that, because I'll be able to mitigate it, and I'll give you some strategies that you can easily emulate and get yourself through. So what else did it say that Survivor mode was? Enemies are stronger. It also said that harder enemies will show up in different areas, which, once again, I can't really attest to this because I've only ever seen it in this way. But I personally think that they didn't do it enough. Which, once again, I'm going to discuss that a bit later. But that's one of the tenets that they say makes the difficulty. And I think it also says upgrade equipment and leveling is a little bit slower because resources are a bit more expensive. Something along those lines. So it's hitting on all the right things to make a harder difficulty, but I still don't think they made one. I still think they made a very simple difficulty. Oh, another thing too, there's a shop in this game where you go to it with those ancient coins that you can find, and you can buy all kinds of cool tools. One of them is a rope ascender, which enables you to go up ropes like that really quickly. It was the first thing I bought on my first playthrough. On this playthrough, I never buy it, and I miss it a lot, which is kind of frustrating. But there's one guy left now. A good way of telling you when the enemies aren't there is Lara will stand up and you'll get a checkpoint. If Lara's still crouching, it means that there's somebody still around you. So that's what tells you that you're still in danger. Oh, here he is, just there. So this is going to introduce you, hopefully, to the dodge. Oh, this dude's got a really slow gun too, so we can use this to our advantage. And if you get close to them, the enemies really struggle to fight you off when you're using the melee attacks. It's incredibly empowering, but I think there should have been some kind of counter to your melees that enabled you to do the dodge counter thing. But the game really didn't go that far. They just made it so that Lara's incredibly strong, which is not a bad thing, but I definitely think it hurts the challenge in a lot of areas. So now that that's done, we could progress onwards, and to do that we have to face the bear. The good news is, I'm going to show you a really quick kill on the bear. He is a dick, but we'll get rid of him. And that right there was the translated monoliths. So as you increase your efficiency with languages, what is going to happen is Lara's going to be able to read more things, and one of them are the monoliths. And once you read a monolith, it will highlight caches all across your map that enable you to dig up the coins, and the coins are the currency that you use to buy these special upgrades. On my first playthrough, I bought the grenade launcher underslung for the assault rifle, and I used it quite a lot. You're not going to see that in this walkthrough because I never have enough money to buy it. You know, I bought the shotgun variant and the G36 variant. You're never going to see those because, once again, don't have enough to do that. And this is a pretty important thing actually, because on my first playthrough, I was doing the side missions. I was completely, you know, exploring the areas. I was doing all the optional tombs, and I was a much stronger Lara by the end of the game. I had the ability from my pistol, which was the Desert Eagle at that point, which was also silenced, to shoot the Deathless one shot, one kill from a headshot, on this walkthrough, when I get there, I'm using the standard revolver with a couple of upgrades on it. It does not one-shot kill them. So the entire flow of this particular walkthrough was a lot steeper than my initial playthrough, just because I'm doing it much quicker. And even then, guys, I found ways to get past the situations that made them incredibly easy. So I'm hoping that this is going to give this walkthrough an edge, because it's showing you don't need the things that people believe you need to succeed. You just don't. This is me upgrading my quiver. That's going to give us more of the poison arrows, which is the most overpowered item in the game. You want to use it. And then we're going to go and take on the bear, who's... It's pretty tough, man. The bear's a tricky opponent. Compared to the other animals are bitches, but the bears, man, wow, they're really strong. And I say the other walkthroughs. I don't know if anybody's made a walkthrough for this on YouTube. I assume they have, because it's one of those things that happens. But it really doesn't need one. And I'm not saying that to try and come across as an arrogant asshole or an egotist. It's not my intention whatsoever. I just mean that in the grand scheme of things, this is probably the easiest game I've played in all of 2015. Out of all the walkthroughs I made that year, this was the easiest. And I'm not saying this as a massive negative, even though I feel that it does detract somewhat from the game, because I think that this is an incredibly fun game that has a lot of merit. And we're going to discuss that too, because I've got a couple of different points I want to put forward. I'm going to try and put an argument forward to why this game deserves a lot of the praise it's getting, and why some of the criticism to me seems kind of strange. But we don't have long in this video left to really get into that as a subject, so we're going to save it for later. But you'll notice the game butters you up before you're about to fight something big. So you'll get ammo, you'll get grenades, you'll get mushroom caps, you'll get things like that. And it's telling you, your dog, something big is coming. And something big just so happens to be this grizzly bastard over here. So all I'm going to do is hit this guy with poison arrows. It does the most damage and it makes him flinch, which stops him charging. If you hit him with, I think, is it 4 poison arrows? You'll kill him. So that's 1 additional arrow. That's 2 additional arrows. So 4 poison arrows and 2 normal arrows. There is nothing in this game that can take that kind of poundage. Just doesn't exist. And I mean everything. You know, if I were to fire it at the biggest armoured heavy dude, he'll take 1 arrow. That's right, 1 arrow. Regardless of armour, regardless of shield, doesn't matter. He will take 1 arrow. It's insane, but I love it. Also, when you skin this bear, it takes forever to do it, and I'm not entirely sure why. She really takes her time here. I know he's a big fella, but does it really have to take this long? You'll notice when I start turning the camera, I'm like, really? I can't move now? You're going to keep doing this? Like, really? I want to move! It's so bizarre! But there's the bear skin. That's going to help you with some crafting. And then once you break down this wall, it's going to lead us to the path into the next mission, folks. So thank you very much for watching. And as always, you take care now.